So as a bit of background to the survey, we've heard this morning that there's lots of evidence that smoke-free outdoor spaces are popular with the public. So I'll quickly share some results from a 2014 survey that the Cancer Society carried out with community members in the Christchurch West Coast area. And it found overwhelmingly that there was high acceptability among these 400 adults of the current green space policies that have been adopted by the councils. Also, more than 80% of respondents supported smoke-free outdoor dining areas. And we heard from Richard, smoke-free outdoor dining is becoming well established in Australia, and it's a bit of a hot topic here in New Zealand. So one example is in Palmerston North, where their City Council has recently adopted smoke-free outdoor dining. But what was lacking here in the Canterbury West Coast region was a better understanding of what businesses felt about smoke-free outdoor dining. So for the current survey, excuse me, lists of food and alcohol businesses were obtained from the council. In these, more than almost 3,000 businesses were sorted to find all the cafes, bars and restaurants. They were all telephoned, and if they did have an outdoor dining area, they were invited to participate in the survey. 138 businesses did agree to participate, and Cancer Society volunteers in February and March this year did either face-to-face or telephone interviews. So the questionnaire took about 10 minutes to complete with the businesses, and it included questions about the participants' perception of smoking in the business environment, awareness of current smoke-free policies and their attitudes towards them, also the potential impact they saw of smoke-free outdoor dining on their business, and also any factors that may influence their decision to support smoke-free outdoor dining areas. And just to give an idea of where was surveyed, you can see on this map that businesses were across the whole Christchurch area, and there were clusters of businesses in suburbs where there's a higher density of hospitality venues. So Central City, Addington and Sydenham. And now Amanda's going to give you an update on some of the key findings.
Okay, so what did our survey tell us about what businesses thought the impact of smoke-free policy would have on their business? And we asked them questions about how they saw smoking within the hospitality sector, but in particular within their own business environment. We knew that 85% agreed that staff and customers should be protected from secondhand smoke, so we thought we'd be quite brave and actually ask that very direct question. 99% agreed that secondhand smoke is harmful to adults and children. Not surprisingly, 65% of businesses told us that they do see smoking on a daily basis. So whilst there may not be great visibility of smoking in some areas, actually within the hospitality sector, most businesses felt that it was still a common occurrence. And they also indicated that 74% of the respondents for businesses had staff who smoked. So when we're talking about the impact in terms of a health in all policies approach, like the social housing initiative, there may well be opportunities in the future for smoking cessation support in that particular area. Now, for us, businesses are particularly important because within Canterbury, we're working towards the idea of a smoke-free charter that everybody owns and everybody contributes to, whatever their role, whether they're a community person, a resident, an organisation, or quite an infrastructure-based organisation like a council. And we wanted businesses to acknowledge the fact that actually they were a key contributor to that jigsaw and a significant partnership for us to develop in the future. When we ask questions about Smokefree Council, and our local council here will be pleased to hear this, 64% of businesses were aware that Christchurch City Council has a smoke-free outdoor areas policy, And interestingly, 74% of those people actually heard about that from the local media or from word of mouth. And I think for us, this is a real indication that progress for smoke-free doesn't necessarily have to be expensive progress. Communications, investing in leadership and ownership of a policy with very simple mechanisms around strong communication messages can be really effective. For this reason, we did place quite a bit of emphasis on talking to our policy staff within councils about the need to promote that communication, and also signage is an important part of that. So when we ask the specific questions about smoke-free and outdoor dining, should outdoor dining and seating areas actually be smoke-free? We were actually surprised and pleased by the results here. So 61% of people combined actually thought that businesses would possibly or definitely embrace smoke-free outdoor dining. 11% didn't mind, and there are actually still a few businesses who have some reservations, and so 28% of people thought that it shouldn't be smoke-free. When we asked the particular question about voluntary policy or regulation, no surprises here, really 60% of people thought a voluntary approach would be the less challenging for their environment, and really the concerns when we drilled down and spoke to businesses about their feelings on this issue was that they felt uncomfortable about challenging their own customer base, and I'm worried about how that will feel for staff themselves out there doing their job. Interestingly enough, 51% of those businesses also thought that regulation was a good idea, and they actually said that as an area we might not be ready for that now. They used the word inevitable, and that is something I think we can look at over years to come, building up that support through the voluntary basis and then move into regulation if that is an option. We've drilled down further in terms of what businesses thought the impact would be on customer behaviour, and how might our smoke-free policy change clientele within that setting. 13% thought that customers would be more likely to visit, 52% that there would be no difference at all to the customer's behaviour, 9% were not sure, and only 25% thought that actually people would be less likely to visit them. So for us, that's a no-brainer. As Richard has indicated, real great work coming from Melbourne and other parts of Australia. Internationally, there is the support for moving towards smoke-free outdoor dining. We link this into our conversations with local councils around the long-term plan. So very dry documents to some extent, but we wanted to use them as a way to get in front of our decision makers again and talk about the future progress for smoke-free. What we did find from that is that our own Christchurch City Council had already talked about put the wheels in motion for extending that policy. We knew that 5 councils had reviews confirmed for 15 and 16. We knew that 4 reviews around smoke-free policy were likely and discussions were already in progress. And as yet, we only have 2 councils where we're not actually sure what the direction is. I'm getting prodded now. So really, very quickly, what that means for us. We know that building the relationship with the commercial sector is vitally important to moving forwards on smoke-free outdoor dining. And the work that's happening in Ashburton about moving individual cafes and businesses to become smoke-free on a voluntary basis is important. What we just simply ask is that all partnerships consider both the voluntary and the regulatory approach, and actually we can work together to move things forward in terms of smoke-free policy. That's it. Thank you very much for your time.